Well, we're talking, Jessica Bishopp and myself, about a dissertation which was looking at participatory art and its relationship to site-specific concepts, and in particular the ideas of audience within that. So, do you want to expand on your thoughts about audience and how that fits in the dissertation?
Yeah, well, I was looking at audience as a community. I started looking at the themes that were around from the 1960s and how participation came around, or like the idea and the development of participation in art sort of became a theme in the 1960s, and it was based on mental participation in particular. So the artist was more concerned with how the audience was going to react to their work, but it wasn't necessarily a physical interaction. That came around sort of in the 1980s, when they became more interested with the encounter and how people would physically interact with the work in a particular space. And then now, since there's been another development around the 1990s where people are more interested, or the artists are more interested in collaborating with the audience. And I guess that's what's influencing me and what I'm responding to. So they actually care about how the audience will react and what they might do with that afterwards, and the audience is an integral part of the artwork.
There's this sort of site-specificness that then becomes central kind of idea to your thinking.
Yeah.
And how did that then play out when you were looking at transforming the dissertation into an actual kind of project outcome? So how did that situation or the site-specificness kind of play out?
Well, the site-specific was about a physical space, but also a metaphorical one, how you create the environment that participation can occur witin, how you gain the trust of the people that you want to collaborate with, and how you make them feel open to respond freely to a situation or a subject that you might introduce. And so the site-specific element for me in my project was based around the streets and a community in Bermondsey and around the joint management board Leathermarket. And so I was working with them, and I wanted to find out more about their community, about their history, about how they've seen how the changes have occurred in their streets, because Bermondsey in particular is undergoing a lot of gentrification and building work and everything at the moment. So I wanted to find out a lot about this particular physical space, but through that I had to create an environment in which, with the participants, that they could sort of share information.
So you were conducting interviews with these participants, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you were filming those, but then becomes part of the film outcome.
Yes, I'm predominantly creating a documentary film through the interviews that are focused on sort of the changes in the community and how that's affected them, but also their stories of how the community was when they were growing up, or their stories of it now. I mean, I'm using a lot of archive footage in the film that I'm making, so there's quite a lot of the stories are focused on the past. And I am working with the local history group. All the people I've interviewed are members of the JNB local history group. So we were focused on their personal histories and their personal stories of their community, of the people they met, of the streets and the shops and everything that they remembered, to create a sort of shared collective memory of a space, of the streets that they're living in, so that we can look around us and see sort of a different side to the community that we're living in, and sort of take note of the changes, and can notice that people have been living their stories around us, and just to sort of have maybe a bit more respect for the community and for the community that you're now living in, sort of came out of the project as a result.